The energy signature blazed across Goku's senses like a supernova, brilliant and utterly wrong. He'd been sparring with Whis on Beerus's planet, pushing himself toward the serene state of ultra instinct when the distortion rippled through dimensional barriers he hadn't known existed. Not ki, something else entirely. Power wrapped in intention, carrying the weight of absolute conviction and the taste of divinity that made his Saiyan blood sing with anticipation. Whis, do you feel that? Goku dropped out of his stance, head tilted toward a point in space that shouldn't contain anything. The angel's staff chimed softly. How curious. That signature exists outside our dimensional framework entirely, Lord Goku. I'd advise... Goku pressed 2 fingers to his forehead. Instant transmission locked onto the energy source like a heat-seeking missile, and the universe folded. Whis' warning faded into the dimensional slip, replaced by the sensation of passing through something massive and circular, energy washing over him in waves that tasted like static and stars. For a heartbeat, he existed in 2 places simultaneously, falling through a shimmering vertical pool of liquid light while his body dematerialized into a stream of particles, reconstituting on the other side of something his mind couldn't quite categorize. His boots hit packed earth under an alien sky. 3 suns burned overhead, casting triple shadows across a village square where hundreds of people knelt in perfect rows. The air smelled of fierce sweat and something acrid like ozone after lightning. At the center of the crowd, a figure in ornate robes held a staff topped with a glowing crystal, and the energy Goku had sensed poured from him in waves of absolute certainty. "And the Ori shall raise you up," the robed man intoned, voice resonating with harmonics that suggested more than one being spoke. "Those who reject the path walk in shadow. Those who embrace origin walk in light eternal." The staff struck the ground, and a woman at the front of the crowd screamed as her broken leg straightened with a wet crack, bone and flesh knitting before Goku's eyes. The crowd gasped. Several prostrated themselves completely, foreheads pressed to dirt. "Behold the power of the Ori." The robed figure, Goku registered the strange markings on his forehead now glowing with the same energy as the staff, raised his arms. "Through devotion all things are possible. Through faith you are saved. Hallowed are the Ori." "Hallowed are the Ori," the crowd repeated, voices blending into single worship. Goku's fists clenched. He'd met gods before, Kami, King Kai, even Beerus the Destroyer. He'd fought divine beings, befriended them, trained under them. But this felt different, wrong. The energy flowing through the robed man came from outside him, borrowed power channeling through a conduit rather than strength earned through sweat and struggle. And the crowd's fear underneath their worship, the trembling in their voices as they repeated the phrase, that decided it. "Hey!" Goku walked forward, parting the kneeling crowd like a stone through water. "You said the Ori are gods, right? That mean they're strong?" The robed man turned and his eyes blazed with light that had nothing human behind it. "A heretic speaks." The staff swung toward Goku, energy gathering at its tip. "You walk in shadow, stranger. Kneel before the Ori's mercy, or I'll kneel if they beat me in a fair fight." Goku's grin split his face. "But first, how about you show me what divine power really looks like?" "Insolent!" The staff discharged, a beam of golden energy that could have vaporized a mountain screaming toward Goku's chest. He caught it, one-handed. The energy splashed against his palm like water against stone, dissipating into harmless sparks. The robed man's eyes widened, the first human expression Goku had seen from him. "Not bad," Goku said, rolling his shoulder. "My turn?" He flicked his finger. The shockwave hit the prior like a freight train, launching him backward 50 feet to crater into the village's stone temple wall. The staff clattered to the ground, its glow flickering. The crowd erupted into chaos, half scattered, screaming. The other half stared at Goku with expressions cycling between terror and something that made him deeply uncomfortable. Awe verging on worship. The prior extracted himself from the wall, robes torn, blood trailing from his mouth. But the glow in his eyes hadn't dimmed. You dare strike a messenger of the Ori? You invite damnation upon... A shimmer of liquid light erupted in the village square. Not the dimensional tunnel Goku had fallen through, but close. A vertical pool of rippling energy that stabilized into a perfect circle. 4 figures in military gear emerged at a run, weapons raised, moving with the practiced coordination of warriors who'd fought together countless times. "Hold fire!" The man in front, Air Force. Insignia, weathered face, hard eyes that had seen too much, took in the scene with a single sweep. Broken prior, destroyed temple wall, crowd in pandemonium, Goku standing at the center with his hand still raised. Oh, for crying out loud, Daniel, please tell me we didn't just walk into a Goa old thing. That's not a Goa old, Jack. The man with glasses, Daniel, apparently stared at Goku with academic fascination warring with tactical concern. I have no idea what that is. Indeed. The largest of the 4, dark-skinned with a gold emblem on his forehead, raised something that looked like a weapon but felt wrong to Goku's senses. He has defeated an Ori prior in single combat, most concerning. The woman, blonde and carrying herself with the precise confidence of a scientist warrior, had some kind of scanner pointed at Goku. "Colonel, I'm reading energy levels that shouldn't be possible. He's generating power on par with a Naquadah reactor. No, higher. And it's biological." Biological. The Colonel Jack lowered his weapon slightly but didn't holster it. "Sir, you mind telling us who you are and why you just punched a religious zealot through a wall? Not that I'm judging. I've wanted to do that myself, but we kind of need context here." Goku let his hand drop, grin returning. "I'm Son Goku. I followed an energy signature here and found this guy claiming to speak for gods." He jerked a thumb at the prior who was struggling to his feet. "Figured I'd test if they're actually strong or just talk. So far, not impressed." "You challenged the Ori." Daniel's voice carried disbelief and something that might have been respect. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" "Started a fight?" Goku's grin widened. "Yeah, that's kind of my thing." The prior's staff flew back to his hand and energy gathered again, brighter this time. "The Ori see all. They know your blasphemy, warrior. Your death shall be..." Goku appeared in front of him between one heartbeat and the next. The prior didn't have time to finish the sentence before Goku's finger tapped his forehead and he crumpled, unconscious. "There." Goku turned back to the 4 soldiers, noting how they'd shifted formation without seeming to move, weapons tracking him with professional caution. "He'll be fine. Probably. So you guys know where I can find these Ori? They sound like they might give me a decent workout." Jack stared at him for a long moment, then he keyed something on his radio. "Hammond, this is SG-1. We've got a situation. You're gonna want to clear a briefing room." He paused. "And maybe get the Asgard on the line. We just met someone who punches gods for fun." If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Indeed. Behind them, the Stargate shimmered, waiting. Goku looked at it with curiosity, then back at the soldiers who stood between him and whatever gods ruled this strange universe. "So," he said, cracking his knuckles. Anyone want to explain what's going on? And more importantly, how strong are these Ori really? The briefing room at Stargate Command reminded Goku of Capsule Corp's conference spaces, all metallic walls and flickering screens except underground and radiating military tension. He sat at the long table, still in his orange gi, while the 4 soldiers from the village, SG-1 they called themselves, stood at attention before a gray-haired man whose nameplate read Major General Landry. Let me get this straight. Landry's fingers drummed the table. You teleported across dimensional barriers, emerged through an active Stargate, defeated an Ori prior in hand-to-hand combat, and your first question is whether the Ori are strong enough to fight. He looked at Jack, Colonel O'Neill, Goku had learned. Jack, I've dealt with Asgard ancients. Even that time you got the ancient knowledge downloaded into your head, but this... Sir, with respect, I watched him move faster than my eye could track. The woman, Major Samantha Carter, gestured to a screen displaying biometric data that looked like gibberish to Goku. The energy readings are off every scale we have. If we could understand how his biology generates this kind of power. Carter, focus. O'Neill leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Right now, we need to figure out if our new friend here just painted a target on Earth by knocking out a prior. The Ori will retaliate. Teal'c's deep voice carried absolute certainty. They do not tolerate challenges to their divinity. When I served Apophis, we feared the Ori above all other threats, though we knew them only through Jaffa legends. Goku raised his hand like a student. So, these Ori, they're actual gods or just really strong aliens pretending? Daniel Jackson adjusted his glasses, slipping into what Goku recognized as lecture mode. That's complicated. The Ori are ascended beings. They exist on a higher plane of existence as pure energy. Millions of years ago, they were human-like, part of a race called the Alterans. They evolved, learned to shed their physical forms, and achieved what amounts to godhood. So they're strong. Goku leaned forward, interested now. Strong doesn't begin to cover it. Daniel pulled up images on the screen, massive ships that dwarfed anything Goku had seen, devastating beam weapons, entire planets burning. The Ori exist in a dimension we can't perceive or touch. They use followers, priors as conduits for their power. And they've been systematically converting or destroying every civilization in our galaxy for the past 2 years. Why? The question came naturally to Goku. In his experience, strong fighters usually had reasons beyond simple destruction. Power. Carter's jaw tightened. The Ori literally gain strength from worship. Every person who converts to origin, their religion, feeds the Ori's power through some kind of quantum connection we don't fully understand. It's not metaphorical, they actually become stronger with each believer. Goku frowned. That's cheating. They're not getting stronger through training or fighting. They're just taking power from other people. Welcome to our nightmare, O'Neill said dryly. They've got millions of followers across their home galaxy, and they're expanding here. Their ships are nearly indestructible. Their priors can do things that make the Goa'uld look like street magicians, and we can't fight them directly because they exist on a plane we can't reach. Why not ascend too? Goku asked. It seemed obvious. If the enemy was on a higher level, you trained to reach that level. The room went quiet. Daniel broke the silence. Some humans have ascended. I did actually for a while, but there are rules. The others, ascended ancients who aren't evil like the Ori, have a strict non-interference policy. They refuse to fight the Ori directly, even though the Ori are destroying civilizations. And if you ascend, you're expected to follow those rules or get forcibly de-ascended. That's stupid. Goku's blunt assessment made O'Neill snort. If you've got power and people need help, you help them. What's the point of being strong if you don't use it to protect people? I like him, O'Neill said to Landry. Can we keep him, Colonel? Landry's tone suggested this wasn't the time. He turned to Goku. Mr. Son, was it? Just Goku's fine. Goku, you've stumbled into the middle of a war we're barely surviving. The Ori have superior technology, supernatural powers, and an ideology that turns populations into weapons against us. What you did on that planet, defeating a prior, that's going to have consequences. The Ori will want to know who and what you are. They'll send more priors, maybe even their warships. Good. Goku stood, energy humming under his skin. I came here to test myself against strong opponents. If these Ori are as powerful as you say, then fighting them sounds perfect. Did you miss the part about higher plane of existence? Carter stepped forward, scientist's frustration bleeding through. You can't punch energy beings, no matter how strong you are. The Ori are literally unreachable. Then I'll fight my way up to them. Goku's grin returned. I've broken through dimensional barriers before. Given enough time, I'll figure out how to reach their level. Teal'c inclined his head slightly. Your confidence is admirable, Goku of no world. But the Ori's priors are merely extensions of their will. Defeating one accomplishes nothing. They will send thousands more, and their warships can sterilize planets from orbit. How many ships? Daniel pulled up tactical data. Latest intelligence suggests hundreds in our galaxy alone, with more coming through the Supergate every week. Each one requires multiple Hatak-class vessels and ancient drone weapons just to have a chance of damaging, and even then... He trailed off, the implication clear. Goku studied the images. In his universe, he'd faced planetary threats before. Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu. But this was different. Not a single enemy to defeat, but an ideology backed by genuinely divine power spread across millions of worlds. Punching wouldn't solve this, not directly. But maybe he didn't need to punch the Ori themselves. Not yet. These priors, Goku said slowly, working through the strategy. They're the ones converting people, right? Showing off the Ori's power? Correct, Daniel nodded. They travel world to world, demonstrating abilities that seem miraculous to primitive populations. Healing, telekinesis, generating force fields, even bringing plagues down on resistors. It's very effective recruitment. What if someone showed those same people that the priors can be beaten? Goku met Daniel's eyes. You said the Ori get power from worship. What happens if people stop believing they're actually gods? Carter's expression shifted, scientist recognizing an interesting variable. In theory, it would weaken them. But no one's been able to consistently defeat priors. They're enhanced by the Ori's power, and there are thousands of them across the galaxy. I just beat one pretty easily, Goku pointed out. You also move at speeds we can barely measure and generate energy that defies known physics. Carter pulled up his biometric scans again. Goku, I don't think you understand how unique you are. In this galaxy, that kind of power doesn't exist in biological beings. The ancients achieved it through millions of years of evolution and technology. You just have it. I trained for it, Goku corrected. Fought strong enemies, died a few times, pushed past my limits. Anyone can get strong if they work hard enough. He believed that absolutely, even if this universe seemed to disagree. O'Neill pushed off the wall. Sir, crazy as it sounds, he might have a point. The Ori's whole thing is demonstrating superior power to force worship. If we had someone who could publicly beat their representatives, Show populations that the Ori aren't invincible. He spread his hands. Could work. Probably won't. But we're fresh out of better ideas. Landry studied Goku with the calculating eyes of a commander weighing assets and risks. You're proposing we use him as a propaganda tool. I'm proposing we let him do what he came here to do, fight gods. And we provide tactical support. O'Neill's tone suggested he'd already made up his mind. He wants strong opponents. We've got an entire crusade of zealots who think they're invincible. Sounds like a match made in, well, probably not heaven given the circumstances. I don't like using civilians as weapons, Landry said. I'm not a civilian. Goku's voice carried quiet certainty. I'm a martial artist. Fighting strong opponents is what I do. And if beating up these priors helps people, that's even better. He paused. Plus, I kind of want to see if I can actually fight a god. I've sparred with one back home, but he usually just destroys planets when he's annoyed. Would be nice to fight one seriously. The room absorbed that statement in silence. He sparred with a god, Daniel said faintly. A planet-destroying god, casually. Indeed, Teal'c agreed, though Goku caught something that might have been respect in his expression. Landry stood. Colonel O'Neill, SG-1 is authorized to work with our guest on a provisional basis. If the Ori want to know what defeated their prior, let's give them a demonstration they won't forget. He looked at Goku directly. But understand this. The Ori aren't like enemies you've faced before. They don't just want to conquer, they want absolute submission, body and soul. And they have the power to enforce it. Then I'll just have to show them that some people can't be forced to kneel. Goku's grin turned fierce. Where's the next prior? The planet was designated P4X639 in SGC records, but its inhabitants called it Vallos. Goku stepped through the Stargate, the sensation still strange, like being disassembled and reassembled in the space of a heartbeat, and immediately sensed the wrongness. The energy signature he'd felt before, the borrowed divine power saturated the air like pollution. Malpi telemetry shows a prior arrived 6 hours ago, Carter said, studying her scanner as SG-1 formed a defensive perimeter. He's in the central temple, likely beginning the conversion process. What's Mile P? Goku asked, looking around the gate platform. They'd materialized on a raised stone dais, symbols matching the spinning ring they'd just passed through carved into ancient pillars. Mobile Analytic Laboratory Probe, Daniel explained, pointing to the Stargate. We send it through first to make sure the planet's safe. Well, relatively safe. You can remote dial the gate from here? Goku studied the pedestal near the platform, a DHD they called it, though the technology behind the name still escaped him. That's actually a good question. Daniel moved to the DHD, always eager to explain. The Stargates were built by the ancients, the Alterans, before they ascended. They created a network of these gates across multiple galaxies millions of years ago. Each gate has a unique address based on constellations, and by dialing the correct sequence... Daniel. O'Neill's tone suggested they'd had this conversation before. Mission first, lecture later. Right, sorry? Daniel didn't look particularly sorry. Teal'c raised his staff weapon. Goku had learned it was a weapon from the Jaffa, soldiers who served the Goa'uld, another set of false gods that SG-1 had apparently already dealt with. The prior will sense our arrival. We should proceed with caution. Or we could just walk up and challenge him, Goku suggested. Worked last time. Last time we arrived after you'd already knocked him out, Carter pointed out. This time he'll be prepared. Priors can generate force fields, manipulate matter at the molecular level, and call down fire from the sky, literally. Sounds fun. Goku started down the temple steps toward the city below. Come on, I can feel him from here. Pretty strong energy signature, though still nothing compared to the gods back home. SG-1 exchanged glances. Goku was getting better at reading their silent communication, and followed. The walk through Vallos revealed a civilization in transition. Stone buildings mixed with more primitive wooden structures, people in simple clothing hurrying about their business with the nervous energy of those living under occupation. Several wore white robes marked with the same symbols Goku had seen on the first prior. They're already converting, Daniel said quietly, grief in his voice. See the robes? Those are believers. Once the prior establishes a foothold, the religion spreads like wildfire, partially through genuine conversion, partially through fear. Resist and the prior demonstrates the Ori's wrath. They reached the central temple, a massive structure of white stone that seemed to drink in the triple sunlight. Guards flanked the entrance, but they wore the white robes rather than armor. When they moved to block SG-1's path, Goku simply walked past them. The guards' weapons, primitive spears, couldn't track his speed. Hey! Goku called into the temple. Prior guy, I've got a message from the Ori. His voice echoed off vaulted ceilings. The interior was already being converted. The original religious iconography covered with symbols of origin, the Book of Origin displayed prominently on an altar where hundreds of villagers knelt in worship. And at the front, staff raised high, stood a prior identical to the one Goku had defeated earlier. The prior's eyes blazed with inner light as he turned. You! The voice resonated with harmonics that suggested the Ori themselves spoke through him. The heretic who struck down Brother Damaris. The Ori have foreseen your coming, warrior. Your blasphemy shall be answered. Great! Goku hopped up the temple steps, ignoring the gasps from the congregation. I was hoping they noticed. So are the Ori going to fight me themselves or just keep sending messengers? The Ori need not descend to crush insects. The prior's staff struck stone, and energy erupted outward in a wave that should have flattened everything in its path. Goku raised his hand and his own ki flared to meet it. The two energies collided in a thunderclap that shattered windows and sent worshippers scrambling. When the light faded, Goku stood unmoved, hands still raised, grin still fixed. Not bad, but you're going to need more than that. The prior's expression flickered, surprise quickly masked. Your power is great, warrior. The Ori recognize this. Kneel before them, accept origin into your heart, and you shall be raised up. Become a leader of the faithful. Wield divine power for... Not interested. Goku cracked his knuckles. I don't kneel to anyone, and I definitely don't follow gods who take power from other people instead of earning it themselves. So either fight me for real or admit the Ori are just bullies with neat tricks. The temple went deadly silent. Even SG-1, positioned at the entrance, tensed. Daniel looked like he wanted to simultaneously applaud and strangle Goku for the diplomatic catastrophe. The prior's face twisted with rage. You dare! He didn't get further. Goku moved, and the prior's force field, the one that could supposedly stop bullets and energy weapons, shattered like glass. Goku's fist connected with the prior's jaw, and the robed figure flew backward through the altar, through the temple's rear wall, and cratered into the street beyond. The congregation erupted into chaos. Some fled screaming, others stared at Goku with expressions ranging from terror to awe. A few, Goku noticed uncomfortably, dropped to their knees facing him instead of where the prior had stood. No, don't do that. Goku waved his hands at the kneeling villagers. I'm not a god. I'm just a guy who trains a lot. You struck down a messenger of the Ori, one villager whispered, voice trembling with something between hope and fear. Only a greater god could... I'm really not a god, Goku insisted. I just know how to fight. You could probably do this too if you trained hard enough. Indeed, he speaks truth. Teal'c strode forward, staff weapon lowered but present. I have seen Goku fight. His power comes from discipline and training, not divine origin. The Ori would have you believe only gods possess such strength. This is deception. The prior extracted himself from the crater, robes tattered, blood streaming from his nose and mouth, but his eyes still blazed with borrowed power. You know nothing, Jaffa traitor. The Ori's power is absolute. This warrior may possess unusual strength, but he is one being. The Ori are eternal. They are really bad at taking a punch, Goku interrupted, appearing behind the prior. Seriously, I'm barely trying here. If your gods are so powerful, why can't their messenger at least dodge? The prior spun, staff swinging in an arc that split the air itself. Goku caught it one-handed, and the crystal at its tip shattered. Energy exploded outward, but Goku's ki absorbed it, turning the prior's own power back on him. The robed figure collapsed, unconscious before he hit the ground. Goku looked at the broken staff, then at SG-1. Is it always this easy? No, Carter said flatly, scanner forgotten in her hand. No, it absolutely is not. Daniel moved into the crowd, already shifting into diplomat mode. Listen to me. The Ori want you to believe they're invincible, but you just saw... He gestured to the unconscious prior. Their power can be challenged. They're not gods. They're ascended beings pretending to be gods. You don't have to worship them. But the book says... A villager clutched the tome like a lifeline. The book says what the Ori want you to believe. Daniel's voice carried passionate conviction. I've studied dozens of religions across hundreds of worlds. The Ori's philosophy is built on fear and subjugation. Real enlightenment doesn't require you to surrender your free will. A woman stepped forward, white robes torn, face bruised. The prior said those who reject origin would be cast into darkness. He brought plague to the northern villages when they refused. Are you saying he lied? He threatened you, Goku said, anger simmering beneath his usual cheerfulness. Hurt people to make them obey. That's not what gods do, that's what bullies do. He'd seen it before. Frieza, the tyrant who'd enslaved the Saiyans, Majin Buu, who destroyed because he could. And I really don't like bullies, O'Neill keyed his radio. Prometheus, this is SG-1, we've secured the temple. Gonna need extraction for one prior and probably a whole lot of counseling for the locals. The radio crackled. Confirmed, SG-1. Asgard sensors are picking up increased activity in the region. Multiple prior signatures converging on your position. Goku perked up. More of them? How many? Goku, that's bad, Carter said. If multiple priors are coming here, it means the Ori are taking you seriously as a threat. They'll coordinate, use more powerful abilities. Awesome! Goku's grin was pure Saiyan battle lust. I was worried this would be too easy. Teal'c raised an eyebrow, the closest Goku had seen him come to expressing surprise. You welcome greater challenge? Of course. Fighting stronger opponents is how you get stronger yourself. Goku looked at the sky, sensing the approaching energy signatures. 3 of them, each roughly equal to the 2 he'd already defeated, moving fast. Besides, if I'm going to challenge the Ori themselves eventually, I need to understand how their power works. That's actually not a terrible strategy, Daniel admitted. If we can document his fights, study how the Ori's channeled power interacts with his... whatever his power is, we might learn something useful. Kai, Goku supplied. Life energy. Everyone has it, but most people don't know how to use it. Everyone? Carter's scientist brain was clearly racing. You're saying this energy exists in all living beings? If we could measure it, quantify it, maybe even teach people to manipulate it. Carter? O'Neill pointed upward. Science later. Probably divine reckoning now. 3 pillars of golden light descended from the sky like the wrath of angry gods. They struck the temple plaza, and when the light faded, 3 priors stood in formation, staves raised, eyes blazing with coordinated fury. Heretic, they spoke in unison, voice layered with harmonics that made reality shudder. The Ori have witnessed your blasphemy. You have been judged and found wanting. Prepare for... Goku vanished. When he reappeared a heartbeat later, all 3 priors were on the ground unconscious, their staves broken. He brushed his hands together. Okay, these guys definitely aren't strong enough. When do I get to meet the actual Ori? SG-1 stared at him in silence. Finally, O'Neill spoke. I think we just started a war. The Ori warship emerged from hyperspace like a descending god. Goku watched from the observation deck of the Prometheus, Earth's first capital ship built from reverse-engineered alien technology, as the massive vessel dwarfed everything in the solar system except the sun itself. Its hull was white gold, carved with symbols that hurt to look at directly, radiating the same borrowed divine energy he'd felt from the priors but amplified 1,000-fold. That's not good, Colonel Pendergast, the Prometheus's commander, said with impressive understatement. All hands, battle stations, raise shields. Shields won't matter. Carter studied the tactical display, face grim. Ori warships can punch through ancient shields. Our Asgard-based shields won't even slow down their main weapon. Then why are we still here? Goku asked, watching the warship with genuine interest. The energy signature was impressive, easily dwarfing any individual prior. Shouldn't you evacuate Earth or something? We're not running. Pendergast's jaw set with stubborn determination. This is Earth's orbit. If they want it, they'll have to go through us. I like your attitude. Goku grinned. But seriously, how do you fight something that big? Very carefully or not at all. Daniel stood at another console, ancient text scrolling across screens. Ori warships are designed to be mobile temples. They carry hundreds of soldiers, multiple priors, and weapons powered directly by the Ori's followers across their home galaxy. The only time we've successfully stopped one was with ancient drone weapons, and that barely worked. How many people are on that ship? Goku's expression turned serious. Crew complement estimated at 300 to 500, Carter replied. Most are soldiers, but there'll be civilians too. Administrators, priests, support personnel. So I can't just blow it up. Goku frowned. His strongest attacks could probably destroy the vessel, but killing hundreds of people, even enemy soldiers, didn't sit right. He'd always tried to give opponents a chance to surrender, to see reason. Incoming transmission. The communications officer looked up. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Pendergast ordered. The main view screen shifted from tactical display to a woman's face. She was young, beautiful in an otherworldly way, with eyes that blazed with the same divine fire as the priors, but more controlled, more human. Power radiated from her like heat from a star. People of Earth, she said, voice carrying absolute authority. I am Adria, Orochi of the Ori, their will made manifest. You harbor a heretic who has struck down the Ori's messengers. Surrender him to us and you will be spared. Refuse, and your world will burn as testament to the Ori's power. Goku stepped into the view screen's pickup range. Hey, you're stronger than the priors, right? I can feel it from here. Adria's eyes found him and her expression shifted. Surprise? Analysis, then something that might have been anticipation. You are the one. The warrior who challenges gods. She leaned forward. Your power is unexpected, fascinating. The Ori did not foresee one such as you in their visions. That's because I'm not from around here, Goku said cheerfully. So you want to fight? Because I'm getting really tired of beating up priors. They keep going down in one hit. You speak of combat as though it were sport. Adria's tone suggested she couldn't decide if she was offended or intrigued. The Ori are not opponents for your amusement, warrior. They are the architects of creation, the source of all enlightenment. Yeah, I've heard the speech. Goku waved dismissively. You're gods. You're all-powerful, kneel or die. But if you're really that strong, prove it. Fight me yourself. If you win, I'll listen to your whole origin thing. If I win, you leave Earth alone. Goku, O'Neill hissed from off-screen. Stop challenging the apocalypse to personal combat. Pendergast looked like he wanted to agree but couldn't quite bring himself to interrupt. Adria studied Goku with unsettling intensity. You propose single combat between yourself and the Oritsi? One mortal against the embodied will of the Ori themselves? Sure, unless you're scared. I fear nothing. Adria's smile turned cold. But I wonder if you understand what you face. The priors channel a fraction of the Ori's power, filtered through their mortal forms. I am the Orochi, born of human and Ori essence, designed to wield divine power without limitation. She raised her hand, and space itself rippled. Very well, warrior. Come to my ship, face the Ori's judgment, and when you kneel broken before their glory, your world will witness the price of blasphemy. The transmission cut. Absolutely not, Carter said immediately. Goku, that ship is a death trap. If you go over there, it's a fair fight, Goku interrupted. And she's right. I need to see what someone with full Ori power can actually do. He looked at Pendergast. Can you beam me over there? Asgard transporters can do it, Carter said reluctantly. But Goku, this is exactly what they want. You'll be surrounded by enemies on their territory, fighting someone wielding power from an entire galaxy of worshippers. Sounds perfect. Goku's excitement was palpable. I haven't had a real challenge since I fought Jiren in the Tournament of Power. Who's Jiren? Daniel asked. A guy from another universe. Strongest mortal I'd ever fought at the time. Goku's grin turned fierce. This Adria feels almost as strong. Maybe stronger if she's really channeling divine power. Teal'c stepped forward. Goku, I have fought alongside you for only days, yet I recognize your warrior spirit, but the Ori do not fight with honor. They fight to dominate, to break your will. Even if you defeat Adria in single combat, they will not honor any agreement. Then I'll beat them again. Goku's confidence was absolute, born from countless battles against impossible odds. Look, I get that you guys have been fighting the Ori for years, that you've lost people, lost worlds. But I'm built for this kind of fight. Let me do what I'm good at. O'Neill studied him for a long moment. You're really going to do this no matter what we say, aren't you? Yep. At least take a radio and a GDO in case you need emergency extraction. What's a GDO? Carter handed him a small device. Garage door opener. It'll transmit your IDC, identification code, so the Prometheus can lock onto you for emergency beam out. If things go wrong, just press this button. Thanks. Goku clipped it to his belt without much expectation of using it. But I'll be fine. I've been in tougher spots. I highly doubt that, Pendergast muttered. Energizing transport. The Asgard technician's synthesized voice preceded the familiar tingle of beaming technology. Goku had experienced instant transmission thousands of times, but this was different, more mechanical, external rather than internal. He materialized in a cathedral-sized chamber aboard the Ori warship. The walls were white gold, carved with the symbols of origin, and the air thrummed with concentrated divine energy. Hundreds of soldiers in white armor lined the walls, weapons trained on him but held at ready rather than firing. At the chamber's far end, atop a raised platform, Adria sat on a throne that seemed grown from the ship itself. She rose as Goku walked forward, taking in his surroundings with a martial artist's eye for terrain and threats. "You came alone," she observed. "Brave or foolish?" "Both, probably." Goku stopped at the base of her platform, looking up. "So how does this work? Do we fight here, or is there like an arena or something?" "There will be no arena." Adria descended the steps, and Goku noted how reality bent around her, space compressing and expanding to accommodate her passage. "This is not a sporting contest, warrior. This is divine judgment. Call it whatever you want." Goku dropped into a ready stance. "I'm just here to see how strong you really are." Adria's eyes blazed brighter. "Then witness the power of the Ori." She moved, and the universe moved with her. Goku barely dodged the first strike. Not a physical blow, but a wave of force that warped gravity itself, making down suddenly sideways. He adapted mid-flip, Kai flaring to stabilize his orientation as the chamber rotated around him. "Not bad." He launched forward, fist extended. Adria raised her hand, and Goku's punch stopped inches from her palm, caught in a force field that made the prior's defenses look like tissue paper. Energy crackled between them, his ki against her channeled divinity, two fundamentally different power sources colliding. "You cannot win," Adria said calmly, even as the force field began to crack under Goku's pressure. "I am sustained by the faith of billions. You draw only on your own strength. That's all I need." Goku pushed harder, and the force field shattered. His fist connected with Adria's jaw, and she flew backward, cratering into her own throne. The soldiers raised their weapons, but Adria held up a hand. "No. He is mine." She stood, blood trickling from her lip, the first time Goku had seen an Ori-enhanced being actually bleed. Her expression shifted from calm superiority to something more dangerous. Genuine interest. "Remarkable, you struck me." She wiped the blood away, and the wound healed instantly. "No mortal has managed that feat. The Ori will want to understand you, warrior, to dissect what makes you possible. They can try." Goku powered up, golden aura beginning to flicker around him. "But first, let's see if you can keep up with this." He transformed. Not to Super Saiyan 3 or God, this fight didn't warrant that yet, but to the basic Super Saiyan form that had become as natural as breathing. Golden hair, teal eyes, power multiplying 50-fold in an instant. The entire ship shuddered. Soldiers stumbled, and Adria's eyes widened with something that might have been awe. "What are you?" she whispered. "A Saiyan." Goku grinned, electricity crackling through his aura. "And I'm just getting started." He vanished, reappearing behind Adria with a knee aimed at her spine. She spun impossibly fast, divine power letting her match his enhanced speed, blocking the strike with both arms. The impact sent shockwaves through the chamber, cracking the golden walls. They exchanged blows at speeds that made the air scream, each strike powerful enough to level buildings. Adria wielded the Ori's power like a weapon, telekinetic grabs that crushed with planetary force, energy blasts that burned with the light of stars, matter manipulation that tried to unmake Goku at the molecular level. But Goku had fought gods before. He dodged what he could, tanked what he couldn't, and pressed forward relentlessly. Every exchange taught him something new about how Ori power worked. It was external, drawn from worshippers across a galaxy, channeled through Adria like water through a pipe. Powerful, yes, but ultimately not her own. "You're strong," Goku said between strikes, actually enjoying himself now. "Way stronger than the priors, but you're still just using borrowed power. And you use..." "What?" Adria caught his fist, divine energy wrapping around his wrist. "This golden transformation? This is your true form?" "Nah, I'm human. Well, Saiyan, close enough." Goku broke her grip with a surge of Kai. "This is just a technique I learned. Gets me about 50 times stronger than my base form." Adria's expression flickered. 50 times. Through training alone? Through training and dying a bunch. Goku launched a Kamehameha, blue energy spiraling toward Adria's center mass. She met it with a beam of golden divine power, and the two energies collided mid-chamber in a spectacular light show. The ship groaned, structural integrity alarms blaring in a language Goku didn't recognize but understood instinctively. "We're taking damage." "Enough!" Adria's voice resonated with layers of sound, and suddenly Goku felt it. The full weight of the Ori's attention. Not just Adria's power, but something vaster. Consciousness from beyond the physical plane focusing on him like the eye of a malevolent god. The pressure was immense. Reality itself seemed to press down on Goku, trying to force him to his knees, to make him submit to beings who existed beyond mortal comprehension. He'd felt pressure like this exactly once before. Standing before Beerus the Destroyer, before he'd learned Super Saiyan God, when a literal god of destruction had considered erasing Earth for disappointing him. Goku had stood tall then too. "Nice try," he said through gritted teeth, Kai flaring brighter as he pushed back against divine will made manifest. "But I've met a god who could actually destroy me without trying. You guys are gonna have to do better than psychic weight." The pressure intensified. Adria's form began to glow, power pouring into her from sources Goku couldn't see but could feel. Millions of worshippers, their faith turned into literal fuel for divine assault. And Goku realized something important. This wasn't a fair fight. Not in the traditional sense. Adria had access to effectively unlimited power drawn from an entire galaxy of believers. He was fighting not just one person, but the combined will of the Ori themselves channeled through her, which meant he needed to change the game. "Hey," Goku said, letting his Super Saiyan aura dim slightly. "You said the Ori didn't foresee me in their visions, right?" Adria's assault paused fractionally. "What?" "That means they're not actually all-knowing. They didn't see me coming." Goku's grin turned fierce. "So what else don't they know? What else can't they predict?" "The Ori see all that matters," Adria insisted, but Goku caught the slight uncertainty in her voice. "Do they see this?" Goku's aura exploded outward, power doubling again as he ascended to Super Saiyan 2. Lightning crackled through his golden energy, hair growing slightly spikier, and the ship's artificial gravity failed completely under the pressure of his transformation. Adria stumbled backward, and for the first time, Goku saw genuine fear cross her features. "Impossible," she whispered. "Your power. It grows without limit?" "Not without limit," Goku admitted, floating in the zero-gravity environment his power had created. "But yeah, I can go higher. A lot higher if I need to." He looked at Adria seriously. "But I don't want to destroy your ship and kill everyone on it. So here's the deal. You leave Earth alone and I won't show you what I can really do." "You You dare negotiate? Adria's voice shook with rage and something else. Uncertainty. The Ori were watching through her eyes, and they were seeing something they'd never encountered. A mortal who could challenge divine power on its own terms. I'm trying to avoid unnecessary death, Goku said. I'll fight the Ori if I have to. I'll find a way to reach their plane of existence and beat them there if that's what it takes. But I'd rather not kill a bunch of soldiers who are just following orders. Adria stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly the divine glow around her faded. Not completely. She was still channeling Ori power, but the overwhelming presence Goku had felt retreated. The Ori withdraw for now. Her voice carried disbelief and frustration in equal measure. You have earned a reprieve, warrior, but know this. The Ori do not forget, they do not forgive, and they will return with forces you cannot imagine. Looking forward to it, Goku powered down to base form, golden hair fading to black. But next time, maybe they should come themselves instead of sending messengers. I really do want to fight actual gods. He pressed the button on the GDO, and the Asgard transporter grabbed him, whisking him back to the Prometheus just as the Ori warship began to turn, preparing to jump to hyperspace. On the bridge, SG-1 and Pendergast stared at him in stunned silence. Well? O'Neill finally asked. How'd it go? Goku's grin was pure satisfaction. She's strong. Really strong, but I think the Ori are starting to realize they might have a problem. Carter pulled up sensor data, hands shaking slightly. Goku, our sensors registered your power spike. When you transformed the second time, the readings were comparable to a ZPM at full discharge, a 0-point module, the most powerful energy source we know. She looked at him. How many of those transformations do you have? Depends on what you count, Goku said, considering. Regular Super Saiyan has 3 levels. Then there's God and Blue, and Ultra Instinct, but I can barely hold that one. That's at least 7 transformations, Daniel said faintly. Each one stronger than the last? Pretty much, yeah. Teal'c placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. You have given the Ori pause, Goku of the Saiyans. This is no small feat. In all my years, I have never witnessed beings of such power retreat from combat. They didn't retreat, Goku corrected. They're regrouping, figuring out how to deal with me. He looked out the view screen at the disappearing Ori ship, which means next time they'll come at me with everything they've got. And you're looking forward to that, O'Neill observed. Of course. Goku's battle lust was evident. They're actual gods who might actually be strong enough to push me. How could I not be excited? Pendergast leaned back in his command chair, looking like he'd aged a decade in the past hour. Colonel O'Neill, your assessment? O'Neill studied Goku for a moment, then shrugged. I think we just made Earth's most powerful ally and the galaxy's biggest target at the same time. Indeed, Teal'c agreed with what might have been the faintest trace of a smile. The Free Jaffa Nation's council chambers on Dakara hummed with tension. Goku sat cross-legged on the stone floor, chairs felt too restrictive, while Teal'c addressed the assembly of Jaffa warriors and leaders. The massive chamber was carved from black stone, illuminated by crystalline lights that cast harsh shadows across scarred faces and ritual tattoos. The Tauri have proposed an alliance of necessity, Teal'c said, staff weapon standing upright beside him in the traditional speaker's stance. The warrior Goku has demonstrated the ability to defeat Ori priors in single combat. He offers to train those willing to resist the Ori's power. Train us? Bratak, the legendary Jaffa master, stepped forward. His age showed in gray hair and weathered skin, but his eyes burned with the same fire Goku recognized in all true warriors. We are Jaffa. We have fought gods for generations. What can this human teach us that we do not already know? He is not human, Teal corrected. He is Saiyan. And while you have fought false gods, Bratak, you have not defeated them in direct combat. Goku has. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Goku caught skepticism, curiosity, and barely concealed desperation. The Jaffa had freed themselves from the Goa'uld only to face the Ori, and the conversion of Jaffa worlds was accelerating. Some saw Origin as a new god to serve. Others saw it as exchanging one slavery for another. Demonstrate, Bratak commanded. Show us this power you claim. Goku stood stretching casually. Sure. How do you want me to? Kelsha! Bratak's staff weapon snapped up, energy blast screaming toward Goku's center mass. Goku caught it. The plasma discharge that could have punched through tank armor dissipated against his palm like water on stone. That's pretty good. What else you got? The chamber erupted. 20 Jaffa warriors attacked simultaneously, a coordinated assault perfected through decades of combat. Staff weapons fired in precise patterns, cutting off escape routes. Zatniktel's discharged their stunning energy. Several warriors drew curved blades and charged, using the weapon's fire as cover. Goku weaved through it all like he was dancing. He didn't fly. That would have been showing off. Just moved with enhanced speed and Kai-augmented reflexes, turning each attack into empty air. A staff blast missed by inches. A Zat discharge sparked harmlessly off his aura. A blade strike that should have taken his head met only afterimage. You're telegraphing your strikes, Goku called out cheerfully, ducking under a coordinated spear thrust from 3 angles. And you're thinking too much about formation. Sometimes you gotta trust your instincts. He tapped one warrior on the forehead, just a light touch, and the Jaffa stumbled backward, unconscious before he hit the ground. The technique was basic, disrupting the opponent's ki flow to induce instant sleep. Goku had learned it from Master Roshi decades ago. The remaining warriors redoubled their efforts, attacking with increased ferocity. Goku let them come, using minimal effort to redirect strikes, trip attackers, and generally demonstrate the gulf in capability without actually hurting anyone. Finally, Bratak raised his hand. Enough. The warriors stepped back, breathing hard. Goku wasn't even winded. You possess remarkable skill, Bratak admitted, circling Goku with a warrior's assessment. But skill alone does not defeat the Ori. Their priors wield power beyond physical combat. How does your training address this? By teaching you to sense and manipulate energy. Goku held up his hand, and a small sphere of ki formed above his palm, blue-white light that pulsed with contained power. See this? It's life energy. Ki, everyone has it, but most people never learn to control it consciously. He let the sphere grow, then compress, demonstrating control. Several Jaffa leaned forward, fascinated despite themselves. The priors use energy channeled from the Ori, Goku continued. It's powerful, but it's external. They're like conduits. If you can sense energy, you can predict when they're about to attack. And if you can manipulate your own energy, you can reinforce your body to resist their powers. This is madness, one council member declared. You speak of techniques that require years to master. The Ori crusade continues now. We need solutions immediately, not mystical training. He's right about the time, Goku admitted. It took me years to get good at this stuff, but I had to figure it all out on my own. With proper instruction, you guys could get the basics down in weeks, maybe months for the advanced techniques. We do not have months, another Jaffa leader said. The Ori have converted 17 worlds in this sector alone. More priors arrive daily. Our people are losing faith in the rebellion, accepting origin to survive. Goku's expression turned serious. Then we need to give them something to believe in, show them that resisting the Ori is possible. How? Bratak's question carried genuine interest now. You cannot be everywhere, Saiyan. Even if you could defeat every prior in the galaxy, there are thousands of them, and the Ori themselves remain untouchable. I'll find a way to reach them eventually, Goku said with absolute confidence. But yeah, you're right. I can't be everywhere. That's why I need to teach you guys. Create more fighters who can stand up to the priors. Teal'c stepped forward. Bratak, I have witnessed Goku's power firsthand. What he offers is unprecedented, the ability to resist divine power through mortal strength. Even if only a handful of Jaffa master these techniques, it would provide hope. Hope? Bratak's voice turned bitter. We rebelled against the Goa'uld with hope. We won freedom with hope. And now hope may be all that stands between us and the Ori's dominion. He struck his staff weapon against stone, the traditional call for decision. I will learn from this Saiyan warrior, and if his methods prove effective, the free Jaffa nation will embrace them. A younger Jaffa, Cartek, according to his introduction, bowed formally. Master Goku, I too wish to learn, but I must ask, when you fought the Oritsi, did you sense the Ori themselves? Their presence beyond the physical? Yeah. Goku remembered that pressure, the weight of divine attention. They were watching through her. Felt like really powerful beings from another dimension. Then you understand, Cartek said quietly. The Ori are not like the Goa'uld. They truly are gods in capability if not morality. How can mortals fight beings who exist beyond mortal comprehension? It was a fair question. Goku thought about Beerus, about the angels who served the gods of destruction, about Grand Zeno who could erase universes with a thought. How did you fight beings on that level? You get stronger, Goku said simply. Train harder, find new techniques, and if you can't reach them directly, you make them come down to your level. His grin returned. Besides, I've fought gods before. They're tough, sure, but they're not unbeatable. Which gods have you fought, Goku? Bratak's tone suggested skepticism. Beerus, the god of destruction from my universe. Fought him to a standstill once. Goku's pride was evident. Well, sort of a standstill. He was holding back a lot, but still. And I sparred with angels who are even stronger than gods of destruction. The Jaffa exchanged glances. Even translated across language and culture, Goku's casual mention of fighting divine beings carried weight. Then teach us, Saiyan, Bratak commanded. But know this, if your methods prove false, if this Kai is nothing but deception, the Free Jaffa Nation will not hesitate to end our alliance. Fair enough? Goku looked around the assembly, noting the warriors who leaned forward with genuine interest versus those who remained skeptical. Okay, everyone who wants to learn, follow me. Outside, we're gonna start with the basics. Sensing energy. 3 weeks later, Goku stood in Dakara's training arena watching Cartek spar with another Jaffa warrior. The younger Jaffa moved differently now. Less reliance on visual cues, more trust in his developing ki sense. When his opponent feinted left, Cartek didn't fall for it because he'd sensed the true direction of attack through energy fluctuation. Better, Goku called out. But you're still thinking too much. Let your body react. 50 Jaffa trained in the arena, practicing the techniques Goku had spent the past weeks teaching. Basic ki sensing, energy reinforcement for physical enhancement, and the fundamentals of ki projection. Progress varied. Some warriors picked it up quickly, their enhanced Jaffa physiology adapting well. Others struggled, too conditioned by years of relying on technology and symbiotes. Teal'c approached, staff weapon in hand. "Goku, there is a problem." "What's wrong?" "The village of Telvak has sent a distress signal. An Ori prior has arrived and the villagers are resisting conversion." Teal'c's expression was grim. "But they are not resisting because of faith in freedom or the free Jaffa ideals. Then why?" Goku stopped, understanding hitting like cold water. "Oh no. Indeed, they resist because they have declared you their new god, the Golden Warrior who defeats false prophets." Teal'c pulled up a transmission on a portable device. Villagers in makeshift shrines, crude drawings of Goku in Super Saiyan form. Prayers offered to the divine Saiyan. Goku's face fell. "But I told them I'm not a god. I said it like 6 times. You demonstrated power that these people interpret as divine. You defeated beings they were taught to worship. In their understanding, only a greater god could accomplish this." Teal'c's tone wasn't accusatory, just stating facts. "The prior is threatening to destroy the village for their heresy. They have requested you come save them." "This is exactly what I was trying to avoid," Goku said, frustrated. "I don't want people worshipping me. That's the whole problem with the Ori. Yet you have become what you fight against in their eyes." Bartok joined them, face thoughtful. "This is the danger of power, Goku. Those who witness strength beyond their comprehension inevitably seek to explain it through divinity." "I'm not divine," Goku insisted. "I'm just a martial artist who trained really hard." "Then you must make them understand this." Bartok gestured to the training Jaffa. "These warriors begin to grasp that your power comes from discipline, not divine origin. But they have weeks of instruction. The villagers of Telvak have only witnessed your strength." Goku looked at the crude drawings of himself again, uncomfortable with the golden aura and divine attributes they'd added. "If I go save them, I'll just reinforce their belief that I'm a god." "If you do not go, the prior will kill them all," Teal'c said quietly. "This is the dilemma you face." Cartek approached, overhearing the conversation. "Master Goku, perhaps you should let me go instead." "You?" Goku studied the younger Jaffa. "Cartek, you've only been training for 3 weeks. A prior is way stronger than any Jaffa, yes. I know." Cartek's jaw set with determination. "But I have learned your techniques. I can sense energy now, reinforce my body with ki. And if I fall, it will demonstrate that your power is not divine but earned." He met Goku's eyes. "Let me prove that mortals can resist gods without needing a greater god to save them." It was a trap of Goku's own making. If he went, he reinforced divinity worship. If he sent Cartek, the young Jaffa would almost certainly die. If he did nothing, the village would be destroyed. "There is a 4th option," Bartok said, reading Goku's expression. "Go with him. Not as a god descending to save mortals, but as a master supporting his student. Let Cartek face the prior while you observe. Intervene only if death is imminent." "That's still putting Cartek at huge risk," Goku protested. "I accept the risk," Cartek said. "Master, you taught us that strength comes through challenging greater opponents. The prior is my greater opponent. Let me face him." Goku looked at Teal'c, who nodded slightly. "It is what you would do, is it not? Face overwhelming odds to test your limits." "Yeah, but that's me. I can take it." Goku ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. "Cartek's not ready for this level." "Then he will die as a warrior," Bartok said bluntly. "Or he will survive and become stronger. Either outcome demonstrates the truth. That power is earned, not granted by gods. It went against every instinct Goku had. He'd saved people countless times, Earth, the universe, entire timelines, letting someone face certain death when he could prevent it. But Cartek was right. This was the exact situation Goku had created. If mortals were going to resist the Ori without relying on him as a replacement god, they needed to prove they could stand on their own strength. "Okay," Goku said finally, "but I'm coming with you, and if you're about to die, I'm stepping in." "Understood, Master." Cartek bowed formally, then grinned, a very Saiyan expression. "Thank you for this opportunity." They took a Teltok cargo ship, Jaffa technology Goku still found fascinating, and traveled to Telvok. During the flight, Goku drilled Cartek on sensing techniques and energy reinforcement, trying to compress weeks of additional training into hours. "Remember," Goku said as they approached the planet, "priors use external power. Their energy will feel different from yours, borrowed rather than generated. Use that to predict their attacks." "I understand, Master." The village was small, maybe 300 people, built around a central temple that had clearly been repurposed. Where Ori symbols should have been, crude paintings of Goku defeating priors covered the walls. The prior stood in the village square, staff raised, divine energy crackling as villagers huddled in their homes. "Your false god will not save you," the prior declared, voice resonating with borrowed authority. "The Ori have witnessed your blasphemy. Embrace origin or face their righteous fury." Cartek and Goku emerged from the Teltok, and the villagers erupted in hope-filled cries. "The Golden Warrior has come. Our God will save us. Blessed is the divine Saiyan." Goku winced at each exclamation but said nothing, letting Cartek take point. "I am Cartek of the Free Jaffa Nation," the young warrior announced, staff weapon conspicuously absent. "This village will not embrace origin, and we do not require gods, false or otherwise, to defend ourselves." The prior's eyes blazed. "Another heretic. The Ori's mercy is exhausted. Witness their power." He thrust his staff forward, and a beam of golden energy screamed toward Cartek. The young Jaffa's hands came up, Kai flaring as he'd been taught. The energy beam struck his reinforced defense and didn't punch through immediately. Cartek grimaced, feet sliding backward through the dirt, but he held. "Impossible," the prior hissed. Cartek pushed back, diverting the beam's trajectory into the sky. "Not impossible, earned." He charged forward, fists glowing with concentrated ki, a technique Goku had shown him just days ago. The prior raised a force field, and Cartek's strikes rained against it, each impact making the divine barrier flicker. Goku watched with pride and concern warring in his chest. Cartek was good, really good for only 3 weeks of training. But the prior was adapting, channeling more Ori power, and Cartek's ki reserves were limited. The force field shattered under a particularly strong punch, and Cartek's fist connected with the prior's jaw. The robed figure stumbled, shocked at being struck by a mere Jaffa. "You dare!" The prior's staff swung in a wide arc, and suddenly the air itself became a weapon. Pressure waves that could crush bone converged on Cartek from all angles. Cartek's ki sense flared, detecting the attack pattern, and he moved, not as fast as Goku, but fast enough. He wove between pressure zones, reading the energy fluctuations, and countered with a ki blast that struck the prior's chest. The prior flew backward, robes scorched, staff clattering from his grip. He rose slowly, and for the first time, Goku saw genuine uncertainty in an Ori servant's eyes. "You are no god," Cartek said, breathing hard but standing tall. "And neither is the warrior who trained me. We are mortals who choose to be strong rather than kneel." The Prior's eyes blazed brighter as he channeled more power from the Ori themselves. The air temperature spiked, reality rippling as divine force prepared to unleash devastation. Goku tensed, ready to intervene. But Cartek didn't wait for the attack. He thrust both hands forward and a Kamehameha, crude, unrefined, but unmistakably Goku's signature technique, erupted from his palms. The blue ki wave crashed into the Prior's gathering divine energy, and the two forces detonated in a blinding explosion that shattered every window in the village. When the light faded, both combatants stood. The Prior was burned, bloodied, staff destroyed. Cartek was barely conscious, ki completely exhausted, but he was standing. "Yield," Cartek commanded, voice hoarse, "or face the consequences of mortal determination." The Prior stared at him for a long moment. Then without a word he turned and walked away, commandeering a villager's transport and fleeing the planet. The village erupted in cheers, rushing toward Cartek. But Goku stepped forward first, catching the young Jaffa before he collapsed. "You did it," Goku said, grinning with genuine pride. "That was amazing." Did I prove it, Master?" Cartek's eyes struggled to focus. "Did I show them mortals can fight gods?" "You sure did," Goku helped him stand as the villagers surrounded them. "And more importantly, you showed yourself." The village elder approached, face conflicted. "The divine Saiyan has blessed his servant with his power." "No," Cartek's voice cut through the celebration. "I am not blessed, I am trained. Goku is not a god, he is a teacher. And what I did here, any of you could learn to do with dedication and discipline. But the power you displayed is earned," Cartek insisted, Goku's lessons echoing in his words. "Not granted by divine favor, but achieved through sweat and struggle. This is what Goku teaches. That strength belongs to all who pursue it, not just those who worship the right god." The villagers looked uncertain, their comfortable narrative of divine intervention challenged by Cartek's raw demonstration of mortal capability. Goku stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "He's right. I'm not your god, and you don't need a god to protect you. What you need is the courage to protect yourselves." He gestured to Cartek. "This guy trained for 3 weeks. Just 3 weeks. And he drove off a Prior through his own power. Imagine what you could do with the same training." Slowly, hesitantly, understanding began to dawn in the villagers' eyes. Not worship of a new god, but recognition of their own potential. It was a start. The transformation happened above Celestis, the Ori's home galaxy, where their followers numbered in the billions and their power burned brightest. Goku floated in the vacuum of space aboard the Odyssey, Earth's newest BC-304 warship equipped with Asgard beam weapons and ancient shields, staring at an armada that made the Battle of Antarctica look like a training exercise. 50 Ori warships hung in formation, each one capable of sterilizing a planet. And they were all converging on the single point in space where Goku and SG-1 had emerged from hyperspace. "This seems like a bad idea," Colonel Mitchell said from the Odyssey's bridge, watching sensors that lit up like a Christmas tree. "Just for the record, definitely a bad idea." "Indeed," Teal'c agreed, "though I am uncertain which is worse, confronting 50 Ori warships or the fact that Goku appears excited by this." Goku grinned, floating outside the ship's shields where he could move freely. The plan was simple, born from weeks of fighting Priors and studying how Ori power worked. Challenge them publicly in their own territory, where the sheer audacity might force the Ori themselves to respond directly. "Daniel, you sure your translation's correct?" Goku asked via the radio Carter had rigged to work in vacuum through Kai-based transmission. "They can definitely hear me?" The communications array is broadcasting on all Ori frequencies, Daniel confirmed. You're basically shouting into their entire holy network. Every prior, every warship, every temple across this galaxy is receiving your message. He paused. Which is insane, by the way. I feel like I should mention that this is insane. Noted. Goku took a deep breath. Unnecessary in space, but the habit remained, and channeled ki into his voice, projecting it through the communication network. Ori, I know you can hear me. I'm Son Goku, the guy who's been beating up your messengers. Your priors aren't strong enough. Your ority isn't strong enough. So here's my challenge. Face me yourselves. Show me what real gods can do. The space between warships rippled. Reality bent, and suddenly Goku felt it. The weight of divine attention magnified 50-fold. The Ori themselves, consciousness existing on a higher plane, focusing through their armada like light through a lens. Heretic. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through dimensions Goku could barely perceive. You who blaspheme against the architects of creation, you shall be made an example. Energy gathered around the lead warship, golden light that made the stars dim. Goku recognized the buildup, a main weapon discharge powered not just by technology but by the faith of billions channeled through Ori will. Carter, you might want to move the ship back, Goku said calmly. Already on it. The Odyssey's engines flared, backing away at maximum sublight. The weapon fired. A beam of concentrated divine power wide as a city, screaming across space at relativistic speeds. It would have vaporized the Odyssey, shields and all. Goku raised his hands and caught it. The energy was different from anything he'd faced before. Not plasma, not Kai, not even the destruction energy Toppo had used in the Tournament of Power. This was faith made manifest, belief given physical form, the combined conviction of billions that the Ori were absolute, and it was trying to unmake him at the conceptual level. Whoa! Goku's muscles strained, Kai flaring golden as he diverted the beam's path away from his body. That's new. You guys are actually trying to erase me from existence. Mortal flesh cannot withstand divine judgment. Yeah, about that. Goku's aura exploded outward and he transformed. Not to Super Saiyan 2, not even 3. He went straight to Super Saiyan God, the divine transformation he'd first achieved fighting Beerus, crimson aura wrapping around his frame as his power ascended to godly levels. The beam that had been overwhelming him suddenly became manageable. Goku redirected it completely, sending the divine energy spiraling into empty space where it dissipated harmlessly. Impossible, you possess divine essence. Surprised, Goku grinned, crimson hair flowing in the solar wind. Told you I've fought gods before. This is Super Saiyan God. A transformation that literally makes me a deity. Temporarily, anyway. The Ori's presence intensified, and 3 more warships fired simultaneously. Goku weaved between the beams like he was sparring, each movement precise, reading the energy flows through his enhanced divine senses. Come on! Goku called out, launching ki blasts that cratered the shields of 2 warships. Is this all you've got? I've seen gods of destruction who could blink you out of existence. Show me what makes you so special. You dare compare us to lesser beings? We are eternal. We are infinite. We are... Really full of yourselves, Goku interrupted. Yeah, I noticed, but talk is cheap. Either come down here and fight me properly or admit you're scared of one Saiyan. The insult hit its mark. Goku felt the Ori's rage ripple through dimensional barriers, their divine pride wounded by a mortal who refused to bow. The entire armada's weapons charged simultaneously, a coordinated assault designed to overwhelm even his godly form, and then space itself split open. Not a hyperspace window or a wormhole. Reality literally tore, and through the gap, Goku glimpsed something vast. Consciousnesses existing as pure energy. Beings who had transcended physical form so long ago that matter was just an abstraction to them. The Ori. Not channeled through servants, not filtered through technology. Themselves pressing against the dimensional barrier between ascended and mortal planes. Their presence was crushing. Beerus had been a single god, powerful but finite. The Ori were multiple beings, each one sustained by billions of worshippers, pressing their combined divine will against Goku like the weight of a collapsing universe. Finally, Goku's grin turned fierce even as his divine form strained under the pressure. "This is what I came for!" He pushed back, Super Saiyan God aura flaring brighter, matching divine will with Saiyan determination. For a moment he held, one mortal against literal gods, refusing to break. But he was outnumbered. And as powerful as Super Saiyan God was, it had limits. The Ori didn't. They drew power from an entire galaxy of believers, and that well was effectively bottomless. Goku's aura flickered, form destabilizing under the assault. "Goku!" Carter's voice crackled through the radio. "Your biosigns are critical. We need to beam you out." "Not yet," Goku grunted, forcing more power into his divine transformation. "Almost got them." "You struggle like all mortals. Accept your place. Worship us and your death shall be painless." "Never." Goku's crimson aura began to shift, blue tinge creeping in at the edges. "I bow to no one. Not Frieza, not Boo, not Beerus." His power surged as transformation layered upon transformation. "And definitely not you." Super Saiyan Blue erupted around him, divine ki mixing with Super Saiyan power in perfect harmony. The pressure that had been crushing him suddenly became bearable, and Goku pushed back with renewed strength. "Another transformation. Your power evolves without end?" "Pretty much." Goku launched forward, fist glowing with divine ki. "That's what makes Saiyan special. We keep getting stronger." He punched the dimensional rift, and for one impossible moment his fist connected with something. Pure energy taking form just to receive his strike. The Ori's presence recoiled, shocked that mortal force could reach them. The Armada reacted immediately. All 50 warships fired at once. A bombardment that would have destroyed solar systems. Goku spun through the onslaught, instant transmission carrying him between beams, countering with kamehamehas that ripped through shields and hulls. But even Super Saiyan Blue had limits, and fighting 50 warships while simultaneously resisting the Ori's direct assault was pushing those limits hard. "Odyssey, those beaming coordinates ready?" Goku asked, breathing hard as he dodged another concentrated barrage. "Standing by," Colonel Caldwell, the Odyssey's commander, confirmed. "But Goku, if we beam you out now..." "I know." Goku blocked a divine energy beam with crossed arms, the impact sending him spinning. "Just one more thing." He focused everything he had, all his divine ki, all his Saiyan strength, into a single technique. His hands came together in the familiar formation, energy gathering between his palms. But this wasn't a normal Kamehameha. This was the version he'd used against merged Zamasu, amplified by Super Saiyan Blue's divine power. Me. The Ori recognized the danger. Their presence intensified, dimensional barrier straining as they tried to force more power through to stop him. But they were too slow. "Ha!" The blast erupted from Goku's hands, blue divine energy spiraling outward in a beam that dwarfed the Ori warships themselves. It crashed through the Armada's center, destroying 3 ships instantly and crippling a dozen more. But more importantly, it punched through the dimensional rift the Ori had opened, striking directly at their ascended forms. Ah! For the first time in their existence, the Ori felt pain. Not filtered through mortal servants, not through technology, direct personal agony as mortal power reached into their divine sanctuary and hurt them. The dimensional rift collapsed. The remaining warships scattered, retreating to hyperspace in disorder. And Goku, exhausted beyond measure, powered down to base form as the Odyssey's beam grabbed him. He materialized on the bridge and immediately collapsed. Carter caught him, medical scanner already out. "He's alive," she announced with relief. "Exhausted, multiple dimensional stress, fractures in his cellular structure. Don't ask me how that's possible, but alive." Goku's eyes fluttered open, grin still somehow present. Did it work?" "You punched gods in their incorporeal faces," Mitchell said, awe in his voice. "Yeah, I'd say it worked." Daniel pulled up long-range sensors. "The Ori ships are withdrawing across the entire sector, and we're picking up transmissions. The priors are confused. Some are reporting that the Ori have gone silent. They can't feel their presence anymore." "That's because Goku actually hurt them," Carter said, studying her scanner with academic fascination. "The energy readings from that final attack. It shouldn't have been possible to damage ascended beings with physical force, but somehow." "Divine key," Goku mumbled, consciousness fading. Same plane of existence. God fighting gods." He passed out before he could finish explaining. When he woke 3 days later in the SGC infirmary, it was to find half the command staff waiting with questions. But the first thing they told him was what mattered most. Across 17 worlds, populations that had been converting to origin were reconsidering. The Ori's silence, their retreat in the face of mortal challenge, had shaken faith in their absolute power. Worship was fading, and with it the Ori's strength. The galaxy burned, but not how the Ori had planned. 3 months after Goku's assault on Celestis, the Crusade had transformed from systematic conversion into something more desperate. A war where ascended beings fought through mortal proxies against a single warrior who refused to acknowledge their divinity. Goku stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, a free Jaffa warship commanded by Bratak, watching a planetary bombardment through the view screen. An Ori mothership hung in orbit above New Athos, firing indiscriminately at population centers. Not conversion. Punishment. "They're killing everyone," Vallos said, voice tight with horror. She joined SG-1's mission as their guide through Ori-controlled space, her knowledge of the enemy proving invaluable. Even the believers. The Ori are so enraged, they're destroying their own followers. "This is your doing, Goku." Adria's voice came through the communication channel, transmitted from the very warship laying waste to the planet below. "The Ori granted these people paradise through origin. You poisoned them with doubt. Now they reap the consequences of heresy." Goku's fists clenched. "You're killing people for not worshipping hard enough? That's insane." "That is divine justice." Adria's image appeared on screen and Goku noted the changes. Her eyes burned brighter, power radiating from her in waves that registered on every sensor. The Ori had enhanced her, poured more of their essence into their Oracy to create a champion capable of matching a Super Saiyan. The Ori offered truth. You offered false hope that mortals could challenge gods. These deaths are yours to bear. "No." Daniel stepped forward, face set with controlled anger. "These deaths are yours. You're the ones pulling the trigger. You're the one so terrified of losing power that you'll murder entire civilizations for daring to think freely." We do not fear. But Goku caught the lie in Adria's voice. The Ori were afraid. His assault on Celestis had proven them vulnerable, and that single crack in their divine armor was spreading. We punish, and you, Goku of the Saiyans, shall witness the price of your blasphemy. The Ori ship's main weapon charged, targeting the planet's capital city. 2 million people lived there, believers and skeptics alike, children who'd never had the chance to choose. Goku moved before anyone could stop him. Instant transmission carried him through the void directly into the weapon's firing path. He transformed mid-teleport, Super Saiyan Blue flaring to life as the divine energy beam erupted from the warship. The blast hit him like a tsunami of pure conviction, billions of remaining faithful across the Ori's galaxy channeling their belief into destructive power. But Goku had fought gods before. He'd held back Beerus's sphere of destruction. He'd matched Jiren's overwhelming power. He could do this. His hands came up, divine ki meeting divine energy, and he held. The beam pressed against him, trying to push through to the planet below. Goku's aura blazed brighter, muscles straining, teeth gritted against the pressure. "Carter," he grunted into the radio, "tell me you guys have a plan." On the Phoenix's bridge, Sam Carter worked frantically at her station. The Ori ship's shields are concentrated forward to protect the weapon. If we hit them from behind with everything we have... "Do it!" Bratak commanded, and the Free Jaffa vessel's Hatak-class weapons arrays fired in unison. The energy blast struck the Ori warship's aft section, and shields that could withstand ancient drones flickered under the coordinated assault. It wasn't enough to destroy the vessel, but it disrupted their weapon discharge for a critical moment. Goku didn't waste the opening. He grabbed the beam, physically grabbed concentrated divine energy, and twisted, redirecting it back toward its source. The Ori ship's forward shields absorbed most of the reflected attack, but the shockwave sent it tumbling out of orbital position. Goku teleported back to the Phoenix, breathing hard. "That was close. Too close," Mitchell agreed. "We can't keep this up. Every time you face them directly, they hit harder, and now they're targeting civilians." "Indeed," Teal'c said. "The Ori's strategy has shifted from conversion to subjugation through fear. They will destroy world after world until populations submit or die. Then we need to end this." Goku looked at the tactical display showing Ori ship movements across the sector. More were coming. Always more. "How many believers do they have left?" Daniel consulted his data. "Hard to estimate precisely, but based on Tok'ra intelligence, still billions. Goku, you've weakened them significantly. Dozens of worlds have rejected Origin and more are reconsidering. But the Ori's power base is massive. Even diminished, they're still drawing strength from more followers than you could possibly fight. What if we gave them something else to worry about?" Vallos suggested, a glint of her old thief cunning showing through. "The Ori are obsessed with you now, Goku. You're all they talk about. What if we use that?" "Explain," Bratak commanded. "The Sangral, Merlin's weapon." Vala pulled up schematics that SG-1 had recovered months ago. "It's designed to kill ascended beings. The Ori know we're searching for it, which is why they've been so aggressive lately. But what if we let them think we've found it?" "Set a trap," Carter said, catching on. "Make them commit forces to stopping us from deploying the weapon. While they're focused on that, Goku hits them from another angle," Mitchell finished. "I like it. Very bait and switch." "There's just one problem," Daniel said quietly. "We haven't actually found the Sangral. Merlin hid it somewhere in the Pegasus galaxy, protected by puzzles and tests we haven't solved. Then we fake it." Vala's grin was pure mischief. "I've conned Goald's system lords. I can definitely convince the Ori we've got their doomsday weapon." Goku listened to the plan taking shape, recognizing the strategy, misdirection, and teamwork. It reminded him of fighting alongside the Z fighters, how Krillin's solar flare or Piccolo's strategy had often created openings for his power to exploit. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. Carter pulled up a star chart. "There's an ancient outpost in the Kalana system, abandoned for millions of years but still functional. We modify it to emit energy signatures similar to what the Sangral would generate. The Ori will detect it and think we're about to deploy the weapon. They'll send everything they have to stop us," Daniel continued. "Which means Adria, their remaining priors, and probably a direct manifestation of the Ori themselves. While they're concentrated there," Bratak said, "Goku will strike at Celestis directly. Finish what he started 3 months ago." "Alone?" Teal'c's tone suggested disapproval. "The Ori will have prepared defenses, specifically designed to counter his abilities. I'll manage." Goku's confidence wasn't bravado. He'd fought in the Tournament of Power against opponents from 8 universes, survived battles that threatened reality itself. Besides, if they're focused on stopping the fake weapon, they won't be expecting me to go straight for them again. "It's risky," Carter admitted. "If the Ori realize it's a diversion before you reach Celestis, then I'll have to move fast," Goku grinned. "Speed's kind of my thing." The plan was set. Over the next week, SG-1 and Free Jaffa forces began an elaborate performance, transporting equipment to Kalana, broadcasting encrypted but deliberately hackable transmissions about Merlin's legacy, and making sure Ori spies witnessed every preparation. The bait was taken eagerly. Adria herself arrived with a fleet of 15 Ori warships, surrounding the Kalana system like predators circling wounded prey. "People of Earth," she broadcast across all channels, "surrender the weapon. The Ori's mercy is extended one final time." "Hard pass," Mitchell replied from the Odyssey, which hung in orbit around the ancient outpost with a coalition fleet of Earth, Jaffa, and Takra vessels. "But thanks for asking nicely." Adria's eyes blazed. "Then you have chosen annihilation. So be it. Hallowed are—" She stopped mid-prayer, head tilting as if listening to something only she could hear. Her expression shifted from righteous certainty to shock. "No, that's impossible. He wouldn't—" She whirled to face her tactical display. "All ships, return to Celestis immediately. It's a diversion." But she was too late. Goku was already there. Celestis burned with golden light. The Ori's home planet in their galaxy of origin wreathed in the energy of billions of worshippers. Goku materialized via instant transmission at the edge of the dimensional barrier that separated mortal reality from the ascended plane, feeling the weight of divine attention snap toward him like the eyes of angry gods. "Saiyan!" The Ori's voice resonated through dimensions no longer filtered through servants. "You dare return to our domain?" "Yeah, I dare." Goku transformed immediately. No build-up, no dramatic pause. Super Saiyan Blue erupted around him, divine ki flaring to match the Ori's presence. "We're finishing this right now." The dimensional barrier rippled, and suddenly Goku wasn't alone. Priors materialized around him, not 3 or 5, but hundreds, summoned from across the galaxy in an instant. Their combined power would have overwhelmed armies. Goku's hands blurred and a technique he'd learned from Whis activated. Autonomous Ultra, Instinct. Not the full transformation, he couldn't maintain that yet, but enough to let his body react without conscious thought. He moved through the priors like water through a net, each strike precise and devastating. Within seconds, 100 robed figures lay unconscious. Impressive but insufficient. Reality twisted and Adria stood before him. Not teleported. She'd been ascended, pulled into the higher plane, and given a body woven from pure Ori power. She radiated strength that dwarfed their previous encounter, enhanced beyond mortal limits. "The Ori have blessed me with their full essence," Adria said, voice layered with divine harmonics. "I am no longer merely Oritsi. I am their avatar, their hand made manifest. Through me they shall destroy you. Bring it on." Goku's grin held no fear, only anticipation. They clashed, and space itself screamed. Adria wielded powers that defied physics, matter manipulation that tried to unmake Goku molecule by molecule, temporal distortions that attempted to trap him in frozen moments. Energy blasts channeled from billions of faithful believers. Each attack was devastating, backed by the Ori's full power. But Goku had trained with angels. He'd fought Jiren, who'd transcended even gods of destruction through meditation and strength. Adria was powerful, enhanced by ascended beings, but she was still fundamentally limited by mortal thinking. His counterattacks were surgical, ki blasts that disrupted her energy flow. Instant transmission creating angles of attack she couldn't predict, and pure physical force backed by divine transformation. They traded blows that could shatter planets, moving at speeds that made light look stationary. "You're strong," Goku admitted, blocking a reality-warping strike. "Way stronger than before, but you're still fighting like someone who was given power, not someone who earned it." "Power is power." Adria's frustration bled through. "The source is irrelevant." "No, it's not." Goku's aura intensified, blue flames dancing higher. "Borrowed power has limits. Your own power can always grow." He proved it by pushing harder, Super Saiyan Blue evolving mid-combat as his Saiyan biology adapted to Adria's attacks. His strikes came faster, hit harder, and she began to give ground. Enough! The Ori themselves descended. Not physically, they remained on the ascended plane, but their presence pressed through the dimensional barrier with crushing force. 4 distinct consciousnesses, each one sustained by billions of worshippers, each one ancient beyond mortal comprehension. The pressure was immense. Goku's divine form flickered, knees buckling as the weight of literal gods bore down on him. "You have proven formidable, Saiyan, more than any mortal in history. But you are still mortal, and mortals cannot defeat gods." "Yeah?" Goku forced himself upright, every muscle screaming in protest. "Well, I've got news for you." His aura shifted, blue flames tinged with silver, as he reached for the state that had allowed him to match even Jiren's full power. It was incomplete, unstable. He couldn't hold proper Ultra Instinct for more than moments. But moments might be enough. "I've fought gods who could erase galaxies with a thought," Goku said, consciousness beginning to fade as instinct took over. "Gods who've existed since the universe began. And I'm still here, still standing, still fighting." Silver light erupted around him as Ultra Instinct sign manifested. Not the mastered form, but the incomplete version that left his hair black while silver energy wreathed his body. His eyes turned silver, consciousness receding as perfect instinct took control. "What is this transformation?" Goku, or rather his body moving on pure instinct, didn't answer. He simply moved. The priors that had remained conscious didn't see him coming. One moment they stood ready, the next they were unconscious, taken down by strikes they never perceived. Adria, enhanced by the Ori's full power, barely managed to raise a defense before Goku's fist cratered into her stomach, the impact sending her flying through dimensional barriers. And then, impossibly, Goku's fist struck at the Ori themselves, not at their ascended forms. He still couldn't reach those directly, but at the connection between them and their mortal followers. Ultra Instinct moved with perfect efficiency, and he could see it now. Threads of energy linking the Ori to billions of believers across the galaxy, worship flowing along those connections to feed divine power. His Kai, enhanced by divine transformation and guided by perfect instinct, severed one thread, then another, then dozens simultaneously. "No! What are you?" Across the Ori's galaxy, worshippers suddenly felt nothing. The divine presence that had sustained their faith, that had answered prayers and granted miracles, went silent. Not dead, but disconnected, cut off from the source of their power. The Ori's pressure wavered, divine strength diminishing as their worship base fractured. Goku's body moved again faster than thought, and his final Kamehameha erupted, not aimed at Celestis or at Adria, but at the dimensional barrier itself. Powered by Ultra Instinct's perfect efficiency and Super Saiyan Blue's divine ki, the blast punched through reality's fabric and struck the Ori directly. Four ancient consciousnesses screamed as mortal power reached into their sanctuary for the second time. But this time, sustained, amplified, impossible to ignore. The pain was absolute, and their presence retreated, withdrawing to the deepest parts of their ascended plane to escape the assault. Goku's Ultra Instinct flickered and died, exhaustion overwhelming even Saiyan's stamina. He dropped out of transformation entirely, falling through space as consciousness faded. Strong arms caught him. Teal'c had beamed in via Asgard transporter, risking the dimensional instability to reach his ally. "You have done enough, my friend," Teal'c said quietly. "Rest now." Through fading awareness, Goku saw Adria floating nearby, her enhanced form flickering as the Ori's power drained away. She looked lost, confused, like someone who'd just woken from a dream to find reality far harsher. "They're gone," she whispered. "I can't feel them anymore." "They're not gone," Daniel's voice came through the radio as the rescue ship approached. "But they're hurt. Badly. Goku severed their connection to most of their followers. They'll need years, maybe centuries, to rebuild that power base." Adria looked at Goku, and for the first time since they'd met, he saw not an enemy, but a person. Young, frightened, and suddenly very alone. "What have I done?" she asked no one in particular. Teal'c's expression held no judgment. "You have the opportunity to choose for yourself now. Without the Ori's voice in your mind, you are free." The rescue ship's beam grabbed them, pulling all three back to safety as Celestis' light dimmed behind them. The golden glow of divine power fading to mere starlight. The aftermath was chaos measured in galactic scope. Without the Ori's direct presence, their crusade collapsed like a tower with its foundation removed. Priors who'd been absolute in their faith suddenly questioned everything. Warships that had moved with divine purpose drifted without orders. And across thousands of worlds, populations that had lived under the threat of conversion for years began to breathe freely. Goku woke in the SGC infirmary 2 weeks later to find himself surrounded by familiar faces and a few new ones. SG-1 stood vigil along with Bratak, Cartek, and surprisingly Adria, though she was clearly under guard and looked nothing like the divine avatar who'd nearly killed him. "Welcome back," Carter said with genuine relief. "You've been unconscious for 14 days. We were getting worried." 14 days? Goku sat up slowly, testing his body. Everything ached, but it was the good kind of ache that came from pushing limits and surviving. That's gotta be a record for me. Usually I bounce back faster. You fought 4 ascended beings simultaneously while maintaining Ultra Instinct, Daniel pointed out. I'm amazed you're alive at all. Saiyan biology is apparently more resilient than we understood. Dr. Lam, the SGC's chief medical officer, said from her station. Your cellular structure underwent complete breakdown and regeneration 3 times during your recovery. Each time you came back stronger. It's unprecedented. Zenkai boost, Goku explained casually. Saiyans get stronger after near-death experiences. Useful survival trait. That's terrifying, Mitchell muttered. And awesome, but mostly terrifying. Goku's attention shifted to Adria, who stood apart from the others, watching him with uncertain eyes. You okay? She flinched at the question, clearly not expecting kindness. I don't know. The Ori raised me, shaped me, used me as their weapon. Everything I believed was a lie, every action I took in their name. She looked at her hands. I killed so many people. Yeah, you did. Goku's honesty was blunt but not cruel. Can't change that. But you can choose what to do next. The IOA wants her tried for war crimes, O'Neill said, joining the group. He'd been promoted to head of homeworld security and wore the responsibility like uncomfortable armor. Multiple governments are calling for execution. Frankly, given the body count, I can't say they're wrong. She was being controlled, Daniel argued. The Ori literally created her to be their avatar. She never had a chance to choose freely until Goku severed their connection. Tell that to the planets she helped destroy, O'Neill countered. Look, I get it. Not entirely her fault, but consequences exist for a reason. Goku looked at Adria seriously. You want to make up for what you did. I don't know if that's possible, she said quietly. But, yes. If there's a way to atone, I want to try. Then help us. Goku stood, ignoring Dr. Lam's protests about bed rest. The Ori might be weakened, but they're not gone. And there are still people out there who believe in them, who'll try to rebuild the crusade. We need someone who understands how they think, how they operate. You want me to betray the Ori completely? Adria's expression was conflicted. They're all I've ever known. They used you, Teal'c said, his deep voice carrying the weight of experience. I served false gods for decades, believing I had no choice. When I finally chose freedom, I discovered that the life I'd led in servitude was not truly life at all. You have that same opportunity now, Adria. She was quiet for a long moment, processing. Finally, she nodded. I'll help, but I need time to understand who I am without them. Fair enough? O'Neill looked at his security detail. She's remanded to SGC custody pending tribunal, but we'll consider her cooperation as a mitigating factor. The guards led Adria away, and Goku watched her go with sympathy. He'd met people like her before, Vegeta, who'd served Frieza, Piccolo, who'd been created to destroy. Android 18, designed as a weapon. All of them had found redemption through choice and action. Now what? Mitchell asked. The Ori are beaten but not destroyed. Their followers are scattered but not gone. This isn't exactly a clean victory. Victories rarely are, Bratak said, leaning on his staff. But the Ori's power is broken. Their crusade has ended. The free Jaffa nation and countless other worlds are free to choose their own paths. This is more than we dared hope for mere months ago. Cartek stepped forward, bowing formally to Goku. Master, the Jaffa warriors you trained have spread your techniques across 17 worlds. Hundreds now study key manipulation. We are becoming stronger through our own efforts, not through symbiotes or false gods. That's great! Goku's enthusiasm was genuine. How strong have you gotten? Cartek grinned, a very Goku-like expression. I can defeat priors in single combat now. Not easily, but consistently, and 3 of my students have surpassed me. Awesome. That's how it should work, students surpassing their teachers. Goku looked at SG-1. "What about Earth? How are you guys doing?" Carter pulled up a tactical display showing the galaxy. "With the Ori's retreat, we've been able to consolidate. The Free Jaffa nation is stabilized. The Takra are rebuilding. And we've established formal alliances with dozens of worlds that were liberated from the Crusade. The Asgard are impressed," Daniel added. "Thor sent a message saying you've done what they thought impossible, forced ascended beings to retreat through mortal power. They want to study your biology, but respectfully and with permission this time. Sure, they can study me if they want." Goku stretched, feeling energy returning to his limbs. "But I've got a question for you guys. Where's the actual Sangral, Merlin's real weapon?" The room went quiet. O'Neill and Carter exchanged glances. "We found it," Carter said finally. "While you were unconscious, SG-1 completed Merlin's trials in the Pegasus galaxy. The weapon exists, and it's powerful. Potentially powerful enough to kill the Ori permanently. So why haven't you used it?" "Because killing ascended beings has consequences," Daniel said seriously. "The others, the ascended ancients, have made it clear that using the Sangral would violate fundamental laws of ascension. They might intervene, and not on our side. Plus," Mitchell added, "with the Ori weakened and scattered, deploying a weapon of mass divine destruction seems like overkill. We've got them on the ropes. Finishing them off permanently might create more problems than it solves." Goku nodded slowly, understanding the complexity. "So you're letting them live, even after everything they've done?" "We're choosing not to commit genocide," Daniel corrected. "The Ori are weakened, their followers are abandoning them, and their power base is shattered. They'll likely never recover to pre-war strength. That's victory enough without crossing into territory that makes us as bad as they were. Besides," O'Neill said pragmatically, "having a doomsday weapon as insurance is useful. If the Ori ever try to rebuild their crusade, we've got the Sangral ready. Deterrence through mutually assured destruction. Very Cold War. Very effective." Goku thought about his own universe, about how he'd spared Vegeta and Piccolo and even Frieza eventually. How giving enemies the chance to change had created some of his strongest allies. "Yeah, I get it. Killing should be the last resort, not the first choice." "Spoken like someone who's fought gods and won," Bratak said with respect. "You have taught us much, Goku of the Saiyans. Not merely techniques, but philosophy. That strength comes from choice and effort, not from worship or subjugation. And you've learned fast." Goku grinned. "Way faster than I expected. At this rate, you guys won't even need me around anymore." The words hung in the air, and Goku realized what he'd been avoiding thinking about. Eventually, he needed to go home. Bulma, Chi-Chi, Gohan, Goten, they'd be worried. He'd been gone for months, pulled across dimensional barriers by accident. "You're thinking about leaving," Teal'c observed. "Yeah," Goku admitted. "I mean, the Ori are handled. You guys have got things under control. And I've got people back home who probably think I'm dead." "Can you even get back?" Carter asked, scientist's curiosity evident. "You came here through an accident. Instant transmission intersecting with an active Stargate during dimensional anomaly. Replicating those exact conditions. I'll figure it out." Goku's confidence was absolute. "I've broken through dimensional barriers before. Give me some time to sense the right energy signature, and I can probably lock onto my home universe." "Before you go," O'Neill said, "there's something you should know. The IOA wants to offer you honorary citizenship of Earth. This Earth. And the Free Jaffa Nation wants to name you an honorary warrior. There's also talk of building statues, which I advised against because you'd hate that, but politicians gonna politic. I don't need statues, Goku said quickly. But honorary citizenship sounds cool. Does that mean I can come back and visit? Anytime, Carter confirmed. We'll keep monitoring for your energy signature. If you ever want to return, just send us a signal and we'll help establish a stable connection. Plus, Mitchell added with a grin, you still owe me a sparring match. You promised to show me Super Saiyan 3. Oh yeah, Goku's excitement returned. I totally forgot about that. Okay, before I go, let's have one more training session. All of you, I want to see how much you've learned. They assembled in the SGC's largest training room, expanded specifically to accommodate Goku's techniques, and spent the next week in intensive practice. Goku demonstrated Super Saiyan 3's raw power, taught Carter the theoretical physics behind ki manipulation, helped Daniel understand the meditative aspects of Ultra Instinct, showed Mitchell advanced combat techniques, and sparred with Teal'c in battles that pushed both warriors to their limits. Cartek and his students joined, forming a class of 50 warriors who dedicated themselves to mastering ki. They were still beginners by Goku's standards, but their progress was remarkable. Several could now sense energy across planetary distances, reinforce their bodies to withstand weapons that would have killed normal humans, and project Kai blasts powerful enough to damage Goa'uld technology. On the final day, Goku stood in the gate room. SG-1 and the Free Jaffa delegation assembled to see him off. The Stargate was active, dialed to a random address, but Goku wasn't using it for travel. Instead, he was using it as a dimensional anchor, a fixed point in this universe's fabric that he could lock onto when he wanted to return. You sure you can get home? O'Neill asked. Pretty sure, Goku said, 2 fingers already pressed to his forehead. I can feel my universe from here. It's like a familiar energy signature across dimensional walls. Should be able to follow it back. Should be, Daniel's concern was evident. 90% confident, Goku amended with a grin. But hey, worst case, I end up in some other universe and have to find my way from there. That's terrifying, Carter muttered. You have given us hope, Goku, Teal'c said formally. You have proven that gods are not invincible, that mortals can stand against impossible odds through strength and conviction. The Free Jaffa nation will remember you as a brother in arms. And Earth will remember you as a pain in the ass, O'Neill added. But the good kind. The kind that shows up, punches evil in the face, and makes it look easy even when it's not. Goku laughed. Thanks, all of you. This was fun. Different from home, but fun. I got to fight gods, teach warriors, and make friends across the galaxy. Can't ask for much more than that. Cartek stepped forward, pressing something into Goku's hand. A communicator tuned to Free Jaffa frequencies. If you ever return, use this, we will answer. Thanks. Goku pocketed the device. Keep training, okay? All of you. Don't let what you've learned fade. We won't, Carter promised. And Goku? If you ever need help, any kind of help, find a way back. SG-1 doesn't abandon friends. Neither do Saiyans. Goku's grin was warm. See you around. He focused, instant transmission activating, but this time he wasn't targeting an energy signature within this universe. He was reaching across dimensional barriers, following the familiar pull of home. Earth, where Bulma's technology hummed, where Gohan's gentle ki studied rather than fought, where Vegeta's pride blazed eternal, where Chi-Chi worried and Goten played and the Z-fighters maintained their vigil. The Stargate room faded, the dimensional barriers thinned, and Goku vanished, pulled across the multiverse toward home. SG-1 stood in silence for a moment, Think we'll see him again? Mitchell asked. Knowing Goku? O'Neill smiled. Yeah, probably when we least expect it and most need it. Indeed, Teal'c agreed, allowing himself a small smile. The Stargate deactivated, its chevrons going dark. But somewhere in the galaxy, on dozens of worlds where Goku had fought and taught and inspired, warriors continued training. Pushing their limits, proving that gods could be challenged and mortals could be strong. The legend of the Golden Warrior would endure, a testament to one Saiyan's refusal to kneel before any being, no matter how divine. 6 months after Goku's departure, the galaxy had transformed in ways both subtle and profound. The Ori's crusade was truly over, not just defeated but dismantled, their worship-based power structure irreparably damaged. The dimensional wounds Goku had inflicted on their ascended forms hadn't healed, and without billions of faithful to sustain them, the Ori had retreated into dormancy, possibly permanent. But the real change wasn't measured in defeated gods or liberated worlds. It was measured in warriors. On Dakara, Cartek stood before a class of 200 Jaffa. The training program had expanded far beyond initial expectations, demonstrating a technique Goku had shown him months ago. His hands moved in the familiar pattern, ki gathering between his palms in a sphere of blue-white energy. Remember, he instructed, voice carrying master's authority earned through teaching rather than title. Ki is not external power granted by gods or symbiotes. It is your own life force, refined through discipline and intent. What I can do, you can learn to do. The sphere compressed, then expanded, perfectly controlled. Several students attempted the technique, their efforts clumsy but improving. Progress came slower for them than it had for Cartek. He'd been trained directly by a Saiyan after all. But progress came nonetheless. Bratak observed from the arena's edge, pleased despite his usual stoicism. The free Jaffa nation grows stronger each day, not through servitude to false gods or dependence on symbiotes, but through the path Goku revealed. We are becoming warriors in truth, not merely soldiers. How many worlds have adopted the training? Teal'c asked, visiting from Earth where he now split his time between SGC missions and Jaffa instruction. 47 confirmed, with more requesting instructors. Bratak's satisfaction was evident. The technique spread like wildfire among those who witnessed Goku's power. They wished to prove that his strength was not unique to science but achievable through dedication. And have any succeeded in matching his demonstrations? No. Bratak's honesty was blunt. Nor will they, perhaps ever. Goku was exceptional, but they grow stronger than they were. Stronger than the Goa'uld believed possible for mere Jaffa. That is victory enough. On Earth, Samantha Carter worked in her lab, analyzing data that still defied conventional physics. Goku's energy readings captured during his final sparring sessions revealed patterns she was only beginning to understand. Kai wasn't magic. It followed rules, mathematical principles that could theoretically be quantified. If we could harness it, she muttered to herself, running another simulation. Even at a fraction of his efficiency, it could revolutionize power generation. No more dependency on Naquadah reactors or ZPM's renewable personal energy sources. You're talking to yourself again, Sam. Daniel entered the lab carrying ancient texts from the Dakara archives. I found something interesting in the ancient database, references to beings who could manipulate life force in ways similar to Ki. The ancients apparently encountered them before ascending. Encountered who? The records call them warriors of the eternal flame. Daniel spread the texts across her workstation. beings from another reality who could transform physical and spiritual energy into destructive and creative force. The ancients studied them, tried to understand the mechanics, but ultimately concluded it was a path separate from their technological ascension. Two different routes to godhood, Carter mused. The ancients achieved it through technology and evolution. Goku achieved it through training and transformation. Both valid, both powerful, but fundamentally incompatible, Daniel added, which might be why the Ori couldn't predict or counter him. He existed outside their paradigm completely. At the IOA headquarters, bureaucrats debated policy, changes necessitated by Goku's intervention. The existence of other universes, confirmed by his arrival, had massive implications for Earth's cosmic security. If Goku could cross dimensional barriers accidentally, what else might come through? Allies? Threats? But more immediately, his demonstration that gods could be challenged and defeated had shifted humanity's entire strategic outlook. For years, Earth had operated from a position of defensive pragmatism. Avoid the attention of overwhelmingly powerful beings. Use cunning and alliances to survive. Goku had proven that overwhelming power could be matched, even exceeded, through individual strength. Some saw opportunity, others saw dangerous precedent. We can't become dependent on the idea that a Saiyan will show up to save us, one delegate argued. Goku is gone. We need to be able to defend ourselves. Which is why we're implementing the KI training program military-wide, another countered. Early results are promising. Special Forces operatives who've trained for 3 months show measurable increases in physical capability, reaction time, and energy efficiency. Measurable but modest, a third pointed out. They're not shooting energy blasts or transforming into golden warriors. The gap between human potential and Saiyan biology appears significant. In the Pegasus galaxy, the Atlantis expedition dealt with their own aftermath. Word of Goku's battle with the Ori had reached even this distant galaxy, carried by refugees and Wraith intelligence networks. The Wraith, always seeking tactical advantages, wanted to understand how one being had crippled an enemy force as vast as the Ori's. If such power exists, one Wraith commander mused, we must ensure it never aligns against us. The warrior returned to his home dimension, another Wraith argued. He poses no threat to our culling operations. Yet, the first commander's concern was strategic. But dimensions can be crossed. The ancients proved it. If the Saiyan race exists in another reality, what prevents them from crossing to ours? The discussion was theoretical but pointed to a larger truth. Goku's presence, however brief, had fundamentally altered the galactic power calculus. Races that had believed themselves near the apex of power now questioned whether greater strength existed beyond their dimensional boundaries. On a small planet in the Milky Way's outer rim, a prior walked alone through an abandoned temple. His connection to the Ori, once absolute, a constant presence in his mind, was silent. Had been silent for months. He'd felt them die, or hibernate, or retreat. The distinction hardly mattered. Without their voice, without their power flowing through him, he was just a man in ornate robes, old, tired, wondering if everything he'd believed was a lie. They were gods, he whispered to empty halls. They created, they judged, they were eternal. But gods who could be hurt, diminished, forced to flee by a single mortal. Were they truly divine? Or just powerful beings pretending at divinity, no different from the Goa Uld? The prior sank to his knees, not in prayer but in exhaustion. Without faith to sustain him, without divine purpose, what was he? The question haunted thousands like him across the galaxy. Adria felt their confusion because she lived it. Confined to a secure facility on Earth but treated with relative dignity, she spent her days trying to understand who she was without the Ori's influence. Daniel visited regularly, teaching her about free will and choice, concepts she'd never truly experienced. "You're not responsible for what you were created to be," he said during one session. "But you are responsible for what you choose to become." "I don't know how to choose," Adria admitted. "The Ori made every decision. I was their will manifest. Without them, you're yourself." Daniel's patience was infinite. "And yourself can be whoever you decide. It's terrifying, I know. Freedom usually is, but it's also beautiful." She considered his words, these alien concepts of self-determination and personal identity. Then hesitantly, "Goku offered me a chance at redemption. Does the offer still stand even though he's gone?" "The offer was never dependent on Goku being here," Daniel said. "It's dependent on you. What do you want to do?" For the first time in her existence, Adria made a choice entirely her own. "I want to help. The Ori damaged so many worlds, destroyed so many lives. I was their instrument. Let me be an instrument of repair instead." It was a beginning, small, uncertain, but genuine. On Earth's moon, in a secure observation facility, Colonel Mitchell watched footage of Goku's final training session for the 100th time. The Saiyan transformed through multiple levels, base to Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2, each escalation dramatic and beautiful and terrifying. The energy readings spiked off every chart. "We're never going to reach that level, are we?" he asked Carter, who reviewed the same data. "Probably not," she admitted. "Saiyan biology is fundamentally different from human. They have genetic mechanisms for exponential power growth that we simply don't possess, but..." She pulled up different data showing human Ki practitioners' progress. "We can get stronger. Not God level, but measurably significantly stronger than baseline human." "How much stronger?" "Early estimates suggest humans dedicated to Ki training could achieve 2 to 3 times baseline physical capability within a year. 10 times within a decade, if the progression holds." Carter's excitement was academic but genuine. "That's enhancement comparable to what Jaffa get from symbiotes, achieved through personal effort alone. So we won't be shooting Kamehamehas or transforming gold," Mitchell said. "But we could create special forces operatives who don't need weapons or armor to be effective?" "Theoretically, yes." Carter hesitated, though Goku would probably tell us we're thinking too small. He'd say the point isn't military application, but personal growth, becoming stronger for its own sake. Mitchell grinned. "Yeah, he would say that. Guy loved fighting more than anyone I've ever met, but not because he wanted to hurt people. Because he wanted to test himself, push boundaries, see how far strength could go. And in the process, he saved our galaxy from divine tyranny." Carter closed the data files. "I hope he made it home safely. If he didn't, I'm sure he's having fun wherever he ended up," Mitchell said with certainty. "That's just who Goku is." On Dakara, in the Hall of Wisdom where the Free Jaffa Nation held council, a monument had been erected. Not a statue. Bratak had vetoed that, correctly predicting Goku would hate it. But a simple stone tablet with inscription in Goa Old script, translated to read, "Here stood Goku, the Golden Warrior, who proved that gods are not invincible and mortals are not powerless. He taught us strength comes from within, not from those we worship. His lesson endures. Stand tall, fight hard, never kneel." Below it, in smaller script, "Indeed." Teal'c read the inscription during his monthly visit, allowing himself a rare smile. Goku would appreciate the sentiment, even if he'd be embarrassed by the memorial. The Saiyan had fought for joy and challenge, not glory or remembrance. but he deserved to be remembered regardless. Master Teal'c, Cartek approached fresh from training. Another world has requested key instruction. They heard stories of the Golden Warrior and wished to learn his techniques. Then we shall teach them, Teal'c said. As Goku taught us, this is how his legacy grows, not through worship but through shared knowledge. Do you think he'll return? Cartek asked the question that many wondered but few voiced. Teal'c considered carefully. Goku said he would visit if we needed him. I believe he meant it, but I also believe he would prefer we stand on our own strength, solving our own problems. That is the ultimate lesson he taught, self-reliance through personal power. Then we must become strong enough that when he returns, if he returns, he finds us worthy training partners rather than students needing protection. Indeed, Teal'c placed a hand on the younger Jaffa's shoulder. That is a worthy goal. Across the galaxy, on ships and stations and thousands of worlds, the training continued. Warriors gathered to share techniques, refine control, push their limits inch by hard-won inch. They wouldn't achieve Saiyan levels, might never throw planet-destroying energy blasts or transform into divine warriors. But they grew stronger, individually and collectively, free from gods and false prophets, dependent only on their own effort and determination. And somewhere across dimensional barriers in a universe far from stargates and ascended beings, Goku felt a distant warmth, the energy signatures of warriors he'd trained, growing stronger through their own effort. He couldn't reach them from here. The dimensional walls were too thick, but he could sense them, and it made him smile. "Hey, Vegeta," he called out to his eternal rival. "Wanna spar? I learned some new techniques in another dimension." Another dimension? Vegeta's scowl was automatic. "You got lost again, didn't you, Kakarot?" "Kind of, but it was awesome. There were these evil gods who gained power from worship, and I got to punch them into another plane of existence. And I taught these warriors called Jaffa how to use ki and... Just shut up and fight me already." They clashed, energy shaking the hyperbolic time chamber, two Saiyans pushing each other to greater heights through rivalry and friendship. It was familiar, comfortable, home. But in quiet moments between training sessions, Goku thought about the galaxy he'd left behind. Wondered how SG-1 was doing, whether Cartek had mastered that Kamehameha variation if the Free Jaffa nation continued growing stronger. Maybe someday he'd find a way back, check in on his friends, spar with Teal'c again, see if the Ori had tried making a comeback. But for now, he was home. And home had its own challenges, its own strong opponents, its own infinite potential for growth. The multiverse was vast, full of warriors and gods and powers beyond imagination. Goku had glimpsed a tiny fraction of it through his accidental journey to the Stargate Universe, and he couldn't wait to see what else was out there. The legend persists across two universes. In one, the tale of a Saiyan warrior who appeared like divine intervention and departed like a passing storm, leaving transformation in his wake. In another, a familiar story of Goku's endless hunger for challenge, adding another chapter to his impossible legacy. The Ori never recovered. Diminished, wounded, they retreated into their ascended plane and remained silent. Some believed them dead, others thought them merely dormant, waiting for an opportunity to return. But without followers to feed their power, without the worship-based strength that had made them gods, they posed no threat. The crusade was over. The free Jaffa nation flourished, their warrior culture enhanced by key techniques that gave them strength independent of symbiotes or technology. Within a generation, Jaffa warriors trained in Goku's methods became legendary across the galaxy. not for divine power, but for disciplined strength earned through sweat and determination. Humanity's expansion accelerated, with the Ori threat eliminated and alliances strengthened through shared struggle. Earth became a major galactic power. And while no human ever achieved Super Saiyan transformation, the Kai-trained Special Forces units proved that mortals could enhance themselves beyond biological limitations through dedicated practice. Adria found her redemption slowly, painfully. Through years of helping rebuild what the Ori had destroyed, she would never be forgiven by everyone. Some wounds cut too deep, but she discovered that forgiveness wasn't the point. Atonement was, and that work never truly ended. The Stargate network continued its purpose, connecting worlds and enabling exploration. But now, Gate travelers moved with different understanding. They'd witnessed what one determined warrior could accomplish against impossible odds. They'd learned that gods were powerful but not invincible. That strength came from within, not from beings you worshipped. And sometimes, on worlds where Goku had fought or taught, people looked up at the stars and wondered, was he out there still in some distant dimension, pushing boundaries and challenging powers beyond comprehension? Was he training even now, growing stronger, preparing for the next impossible fight? The answer in both universes was the same. Undoubtedly yes. Because that's who Goku was, a martial artist who loved the challenge more than the victory, who saw potential in everyone, who faced gods with a grin and impossible odds with enthusiasm. Whether fighting for his own universe or accidentally saving another, his nature remained constant, always training, always growing, always ready for the next great challenge. The Stargate Universe had been changed by his presence, made stronger, freer, more aware of its own potential. But Goku had been changed too in small ways, reminded that strength without purpose was hollow, that teaching could be as rewarding as fighting, that sometimes the greatest victories came not from defeating enemies but from inspiring allies. And across the dimensional barriers that separated their realities, both universes were richer for the intersection. One learned that mortals could challenge gods. The other had its endless multiverse confirmed. Infinite worlds, infinite warriors, infinite possibilities for growth and challenge. The Golden Warrior's legend would endure in the Stargate universe, not as a god to be worshipped. He would have hated that, but as a reminder that power had no ceiling, that limits were meant to be broken, and that the strongest gods were those who never claimed the title at all. And somewhere, in a dimension far removed from Stargates and ascended beings, Goku paused mid-training, sensing a familiar pattern of energy across impossible distance. Warriors pushing their limits, growing stronger through effort and determination. He smiled, then returned to his spar with Vegeta. After all, there were always new heights to reach, new transformations to master, new challenges waiting beyond the horizon. The fight never truly ended, and for a Saiyan like Goku, that was exactly how it should be.